you have to make sure everything's not dynamic.
Yeah, there can be, like, nothing happens at runtime, so it's.
Yep. I mean, I know there's a lot of little libraries out there that work that way, but I'm like, doing anything with the REPL is a runtime, right? So you develop all in regular JVM and stuff, and then you compile to deploy. So it's like, you could still run into stuff with, that.
Yeah. Yeah, to me it's like,
kind of debugs.
if you're not doing like a little command line utility or something like that,
Yeah.
it's a ton of pain for no benefit.
Yeah.
And especially like, if it's long running,
Right.
a JVM that actually starts up and can optimize stuff is gonna beat you.
Right.
It's really, if you just need to start them.
Even for command line things, I find like the release guy
Yeah.
it's like, it's an interpreter, so it can still go through draw, and it's still just like fast enough, because it's gone through draw, right? And it's like still a million times faster than Python and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like the best of both worlds. The only thing there is you have to make sure one of his pods like is available, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, that's like a
pod.
compatibility story.
Right.
And that's again where it's like, it's either like a simple little like script that's doing some stuff. Oftentimes shelling out is what that stuff will do. It's like kind of like do some string munging, some parsing or something like that, and then just shells out to whatever.
Yep. Yep. And I mean, for a lot of stuff, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like you're writing a whole system, But yeah, but I just thought this was nice. His website's nice, and like his posts, he posts about what he's gotten done fairly frequently, right? I think he's funded with the Clojure Together stuff, and so keeping up with what he's gotten done, and like as he's writing the tool, he's letting the tool guide him towards which libraries and stuff and features of Clojure that he needs.
Oh, nice.
And he implements them as he needs them, right? So it's been neat to see that kind of as well, how it's trickled through and expanding through the library space and the language space. But yeah, I mean, just the whole idea of having another Clojure that we can run on top of C++ and access all those libraries, I think is nice. But we'll see how it is to work with it, with the REPL and everything, and all the usual C++ quirks. It's like, although C++ has changed a lot since when I did it full time. It's a lot. Wow, it was in 30 years. But yeah, if you haven't read about it, his little site's nice. He keeps a nice little blog. Look at the GitHub.
Yeah, I'm looking at his Jank blog right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, to me, it's one more platform where you can still use 90% of what you know from a Clojure point of view, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, the other nice thing is it's like LLVM based. So whenever they keep improving LLVM, you just get those improvements to it, and it's jitter, right? So it's like, that's, I guess, a cherry on top. It's not kind of stagnant like some of the other stuff.
Yeah, it's not somebody's home rolled kind of like emitter or something like that.
Yeah.
This is.
It's like, the GNU compiler, people work on it, but it's still nowhere as good as the LLVM stuff that is out there nowadays. It's just a much more rich environment. So, but yeah, that's one. And they've got a nice Slack channel on Twitter feed too. So Alexandria, which actually, if you're going to Alexandria, you can fly into Dulles. That's probably the airport. So it's got a long way. people. It's like, after they got bought. But yeah, if you haven't been to cons, though, it's definitely fun to go to. Yeah, like, me and Lauren went 1 year. This was like second or third year we did it. And it was a lot of fun. And then they had it here in Austin one year. And like we helped out with that stuff, so it was pretty cool. But definitely, if you haven't been to one before, it's pretty good to go to. This one was another one I thought was kind of nice. I don't know if you guys are doing much Java, but the Heldion stuff, we're doing microservice implementations. This guy did a nice little wrapper, so you can use that whole framework, but from Clojure. I thought that was kind of nice, because that framework's very well supported, constantly being added to and stuff like that. And like the latest thing is running on top of virtual threads now, so it's super lightweight. You can have millions of requests going per second. So it's kind of a Java / Clojure equivalent of like Elixir's stuff on their Erlang VM. And it's data oriented with these. You define your handlers, your WebSocket endpoints and stuff. So I thought that was a nice wrapper. I haven't had to play with it yet, but when I saw that, I was happy to see it because I've been looking at this like on and off for a while. Yeah, this one's Oracle's kind of behind it, and some of the other one, Micronaut, I think is the other one. Yeah, that's it. This is the other one that's out there for doing similar stuff. This one's full stack framework, not just kind of oriented towards microservices. And it supports a bunch of JVM languages. I never looked to see it on this one if there was a Java wrapper. I'm pretty sure, or a Clojure wrapper. I'm pretty sure somebody wrote one, but it's the other one that was always kind of competing against this one. But as you can see, there's quite a few well-known companies using this one. And again, it's uses annotations. It's quick and easy to get up, really fast. But lighter weight than something like Spring Boot. So, which isn't bad, but it's definitely one to look at to see Clojure. But, I mean, it is Java, so we can probably write a binding if we wanted to. But, yeah, that one's, I don't know, looks like they do have a our mapper story here. Interesting. Cool. If you're doing Discord, close your bindings. Close stuff up. That's kind of cool. I didn't know that was around. Let's see.
With Jake, you mentioned the C++.
Mm-hmm.
There is somebody that started a robust version.
Oh, cool. Somebody did, huh?
Yeah, it's called clojure-RS. It looks like they've abandoned it.
Okay. Bummer. Yeah, last year. Last update. They have basic definitions now and stuff like that. And Discord. Interesting. Yeah. Some lists. Basic functions. Make a record. Nice. That's a clojure-rust. Have you wrote a clojure tool in Rust? Clojure-RS, that's the one we just looked at. There's another one, 3 years ago. Yeah, so it was kind of stagnated, it looked like. Yeah. Another one I'd like to see is like closure on WebAssembly. Are you gonna do that already with like ClojureScript? Would you use one of the WebAssembly generators probably?
I haven't heard of that, if people are actually doing that, WebAssembly and stuff. Especially, I don't really know much about WebAssembly. I've heard you can do amazing things. I think that's how Figma is built. I've also heard that like there's some weird shortcomings of it, like a lack of garbage collectors, and I'm still not sure if like the language itself is fully spec'd out.
Yeah, it's the original one didn't have GC in it, but like 2 months ago, the latest spec came out and it has GC support. And so I know Chrome supposedly got it with the GC support now, and performance-wise, we're getting pretty good performance out of it, right? But I haven't played with it enough beyond that, just like reading about it and stuff. But the deal is, a lot of people are like, you can compile WebAssembly, you can use whatever language you want for your, app to run in the browser, right? And so it's like, or a combination of languages that compile WebAssemblies, and then call between them inside the WebAssembly stack. That was kind of an interesting thing. And like, from a language point of view, it's like fairly interesting and it's really low level, right?
Yeah, it's a new language on like the universal machine, the browser.
Right.
It's really cool actually.
So it's like, and now to me, like I didn't look a lot for the same reason, no GC, right? I'm like, can't even really run JavaScript efficiently without a GC, right? You could call it from JavaScript into whatever code you compile. But like early stuff was like C programs that compiled down to WebAssembly, or Rust can compile down. I think even Kotlin now can compile down to WebAssembly. But it's like now that they got the GC stuff, I'm like, okay, I'm more interested now. It's like the languages that I'm interested in now could run on top of it, right? So it's like you could run a small talk in there, clojure, regular clojure inside of there, right? Instead of clojure scripts. And you know, it handles like the threading kind of stuff. You work with the web workers and all that. And it plays nicely with all the web technology, so it's like, okay. But it's still so early. It's still like, there's people using it, but it's not, it hasn't got the uptake yet. Right?
Yeah.
You're thinking in terms of, and there's still a lot of people that's like, well, I can run JavaScript, why do I need it? You know?
Yeah.
It's fast enough for, you know, it's like, okay. But yeah, that's, you know, it's interesting to see like what's going on with it, but it's like, until the GC stuff came out, I was like, okay.
Yeah,
It's
this
just-
is like no point yet. But
Yeah. Like, I haven't queried this in a long time, so maybe clojure can be used with WebAssembly. WASM CLJC, clojure script compiled down to WebAssembly for clojure. 2019, so that tells you how long people have been waiting for that garbage collector. Alright. Spec compliant, WebAssembly compiler. 3 years ago, so it's out of date. But, I mean, there's obviously, it looks like there's some people thinking about it. Clojure and WebAssembly. So there we go on that. Got some templates. Picture first, add. Is this it? Or is this just, okay, it's here. TVM, the Java bytecode execution inside of WebAssembly runtime. Also with the closure script. So this is just like, just one page on it, so. Okay. That's not that much. It looked like more for a second. But, yeah. I'm anxious to see like whether it kinda, because at first it seemed like you got a lot of people excited and then you didn't hear about it a whole lot. Looks like he's getting started. Mozilla still has a lot. Okay. Let's do this, let's see. Let's see what's happening in the last one. WebAssembly. Web GPU enhancements. Go run optimize the web GPU stuff inside the browser. That's kind of cool. Green. Language for WebAssembly. Yeah, I guess the .NET Blazor runs on top of it. That's interesting. IntelliJ supports it. Didn't know that. Yeah, interesting. Let's see, WebAssembly. good for you. Rust, Go, C#, Java, Python, C++. So I guess the idea being you use those languages and access all the web APIs in the browser and stuff. So you have your consistent toolkit on that Sharp 4.
We've got COBOL.
Hey, there you go. Yeah. Run some COBOL and WebAssembly. Wow. I guess that's pretty cool. You just spin up a headless browser and let that COBOL to Zoom. And you don't even need to worry about which platform you're on anymore to run your COBOL code. That's funny. Darter. Yeah, Elixir. That's interesting. That's sharp. Yeah, so fourth. Go. That's kind of cool. Regular Go. That's interesting. Haskell. Java. And all the JavaScript. Makes sense. Julia. Kotlin. Wow. Lisp. Let's look at Lisp. There's low-level Lisp for WebAssembly. Interesting. Oh, look at that. So Lisp functions do the same thing. So yeah, you can tell it was the size of something with data types. So this is WebAssembly right here. So it looks like Lisp. Right? When I first looked at it, that was like one of the things I was like, at least they started with a good foundation. It's like, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yes. There's always that question of like, are you actually writing a different language with parens, or are you actually writing a different language?
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't tell which one it was there actually.
I can feel that. Yeah, so it does fib. Here's an n. That's a parameter. It's 32-bit in terms of 32-bit result. So if result less than and the constant 2, so that's right here. And if that's the case, we return 1. And then function call. Yeah, it's a stack machine, it says, so it makes sense, some of this, since it's a stack machine. And we do a call to call a function again. And here, on that, and then we do get in, and you're going to subtract 32-bit. Return 1 or 2. That makes sense. So this then here goes with that if. So it's really here, and then here's the else block. So it matches up pattern-wise. You have the else block here, and then you've got the add, and that's a plus function. languages are at play in the typical web application? Big Blue, WebAssembly, and JavaScript. Huh? I don't know actually. Ethereum smart contract language. This black language is what it stands for. Low level language similar to assembly. Interesting. I didn't even heard of it. So they chose the smart language for the smart contract. Interesting. Never heard of that before. But yeah. It's definitely might be something interesting to play with now that they got the closure or the garbage collector. But these guys obviously implemented their own garbage collectors. You know, this one says it's very immature. Not private. And they wrote it in Zig. Another interesting language. Fourth. That's cool. Entirely written in raw, assembly. Nice. Oh, there it is. Good enough. Let's see. Hello, dot. Okay, so it defines the word hello. Oh, very good one. Name a tree. That's kind of, it is pretty fast. Like,
That's nuts.
I mean, like drawing pretty detailed. Over time, let's do 12. Yeah, nice. Let's see what else they got. Snowflake. That was pretty fun. Oh wow. Yeah, you don't even see the turtle do anything. That's great. And one. Yes. Wow. Yeah, this. I mean, these aren't like obviously really challenging, but the update speed is pretty nice. Anything else there? Yeah, this plant thing blows me away. Random one. Size 0, stuff like that. let's do 10. Let's plant. Let's do 10 here. And then do the random, do the choose, another random, and then the branches. That's kind of cool. Okay, setting aside the branches. Fertile. You can get the photo for fertile. Question.
Thank you.
Pinto, Emacs. Lobster. That's interesting. A lobster programming language. Before you can code in it, you have to put your computer in a pot, boil the water. Okay. Looks like basic Python. Got some files to write some of that. Even works in OpenGL frame. Nice. You can run, it doesn't have a global interpreter on. Interesting. Game programming. So it looks like there's a lot of stuff for Wells. It's a lot more stuff out here than there was a while back. That's pretty wild. Lord. We're just in the ends. And them for everyone. I've heard of that one before. And Wasm and LVM. Oh, Camel. Ooh, free Pascal. Everybody should use this. You haven't programmed in Pascal. Used to be the starting language when I was in college.
Like okay.
Huh?
Were you saying okay?
No, Pascal.
Pascal, yeah.
Right. So there's Perl that runs in your web browser. That's pretty wild. Hasn't been updated in a while though. Flores. Stack-based scripting language. And hasn't been touched in stuff either. So that's pretty cool though. Anyway, enough of WebAssembly TypeScript. Ooh, Ada. There's a language for the future. Things that lets me do.
Every so often I'll still run across a class for people saying, why didn't you use Ada?
When I was in college, that was one of the classes I took that was like it. And that's where I learned exception handling and tasking, which was threads basically, right? I was in 86, and I was like, it ruined me. Because after that, I was like, well, I have to code in this crappy return a -1 or whatever kind of thing for error codes and, you know, no real threads. You had to use, you know, thread libraries or whatever. I mean, back then there wasn't even POSIX standards or anything for that stuff, but it was just like using Ada to do that stuff. It was like, it was verbose as all get out, but it was also like you could look at a piece of code and you knew exactly what was going on. It was just like, bing, you're done. Oh wow, I have one for God. 3 weeks ago, so this one's current. God's a WebAssembly. That's cool. Awesome. And then Scheme WASM last year. Scheme 7, partial implementation. Not quite bad. But not, so. Cool. Let's go back to closure. Let's go back to a much more friendly language for a better time. I thought this was nice, like some nice additions to the collection stuff. I hadn't seen this one before, and I was like, hey, that's kind of nice, because a lot of times you want something like that, right? You just give it a set of the numbers or the data and give back the ordered version of it automatically. Right? You can still conjoin to it and sort the right thing, and they're sets, so you don't have groups. Same thing with your maps, right? I was like, that's a nice.
Oh man, the way that ordered map prints is horrific.
Here.
Yeah, as a
With the
sequence
square
of
brackets?
tuples. Yeah, man, that is ugly.
Right. But
Yeah, but
maybe it's related to the way it's stored.
yeah, I guess you would never
Yeah.
want it like read back. It's gotta be read as something that has order. And if it's ever mappy, then it's totally gone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild, like, too, because this is an ordered map that gives the data in, right? And associates in, and so you still get your order and add to the end. So it's like he's maintaining the order, whereas with regular closure data structures.
Yeah, it's a shame that like the map literal syntax is like so nice to work with.
Yeah.
And like going back to like a sequence of tuples feels so clumsy, but like
Yeah.
I get it. And if it ever just once goes into a map, like
Yep.
now it's ordered by hash.
It's all jiggered up. Yep. But yeah, like, this is another one I haven't played with. I know a lot of people use it, but I've looked at it every time and it just seems like, Ring is good enough, right? Because Ring is so damn simple, right? And I'm like, this, it's fast and, you know, it has all this latest support, but I'm like, the way you have to code it, it doesn't look as clean to me. It's just like, okay.
I don't remember seeing an example.
You know, like, here's your route, you do it in a vector, right? And then you put your handlers in there, right? You know, obviously you return the data structure here, and this is the route name, right? So it gets registered by the hash, not the hash, the symbol, keyword, right? And I get it, but it's like, it just doesn't look as nice to me.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, you got these, in this case, this catch-all path, but right, it's more wordy than like rain. Rain, you just get your response and request objects, and then you add your middlewares, and then you treat it like a stream flow, right? It's like, it just seems so damn clean to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is more built to wrap existing servlet and kind of stuff with the Clojure API, is how I kind of read it, right? It's like, okay. You know, and then they have this concept of interceptor, which is kind of, it's almost like, you know, a handler and a middleware in rain, right?
Yeah.
Because it talks about all of them here, right? But it's like, is an interceptor, am I registering, you know, it's like, and then you look at here, it's like you got interleave, which are like, you know, designed by contract kind of thing. Okay, when I come in, this is gonna happen, when I leave, you know, and that makes sense, right? But it's like, okay, this already, compared to Ring, I have to remember more. I got this context map.
Yeah.
Whereas Ring, I've just got my request, and you know, the request gets routed through middlewares, which is, I mean, same here. These interceptors are just middlewares, but an interceptor has both inbound and outbound registrations, right? So it's like, whereas Ring, you don't really think of it that way, right? The Ring middleware usually is either on the request side or on the response side, right? That you're wrapping. It's not both sides,
Yeah.
right? So it's like,
The thing about interceptors is they're super powerful,
yeah,
and they have access to the actual routing map and what's going to happen next. So you can have an interceptor that goes, okay, this is what's supposed to happen next, but based on what the information that's come down to me, we're going to go do this step instead. Totally reroute the request.
The middleware just functions that, like, I am calling the next stack frame, there's nothing I can do about it. Like, there's no kind of like communication versus that dynamic stuff. Which sounds like a nightmare when it gets really complicated, but like when you need to do something and you can have some discipline, that's very nice.
Yeah, it's one of those things, it's more complicated, but man, we need it, it's nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I've heard the interceptor pattern is nice. I would be a little scared to like debug an interceptor bug that, you know, somebody wrote 4 years ago. They were going, what the absolute hell is going on here? But yeah.
Yeah, I guess to me it was like, I'm so used to composition, it's just wrapping these functions around stuff. And this was like a little different when I read it the first time. I'm like, okay, this is more like when I'm doing a servlet, like old Java style, right? Where I have the inbound part of the servlet, then I have the outbound, and I put all the handlers. The handlers are getting extra on, right? And that's what I equated it to, but it was like, you know.
Yeah.
It may totally be, because
It's like
one of the
under
things
the
that
cover.
goes through.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if like under the covers, that's the way they do
I'm gonna run. My wife ordered food and I am the pick it up guy.
No worries, man.
I enjoyed the hell out of this.
From James.
James Dan. Good to meet you. Yeah. I wasn't sure if I'd seen you before or if this was your time, but
I got sort of that Gabriel. And then this person has been in probably over 5 years.
Oh, wow. All right, well, good to see you again. Or good to have you back here and good to meet you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out. I know it was like, there wasn't many coming out.
I was telling you, like, don't even bother. I'm glad you did. I had a great time. So,
Yeah, I'm like, to me, it's like the only time during the month in the past, like, year and a half where I get to actually play with Clojure, because my regular job, I'm doing Spring Boot and teaching it.
oh, yeah,
So
okay.
it's like, and because I'm teaching them, like, the other part of it is I have to write curriculum of what I'm teaching, so I've been like super slammed with that.
Yeah, you're in a
It's
very
like-
verbose world, and this must feel like very crisp.
Yeah, and it's like, it's, for these 2 hours, I just get to be back near Lisp. Or
Yeah. My memory is, so I worked at C#, you know, somewhere, but like, back in the day when I worked there, I would never want to read a library written in C#. Like, I'll use it, whatever, this is nice, there's good schooling, you know, like, give me my paycheck, and I'm happy. But like, yeah, reading Clojure code where you can read an expressive library where it can be clever instead of like 18 interface functions, all of which add one more optional argument, and then there's a factory involved, and you're like, who actually does any work here? I want to see a clever idea.
Yeah,
There's so
where's the
much
thing?
structure and scaffolding until, and then with little functions, actually the cool stuff here, you know.
The last time I was doing Clojure, I remember showing one of my buddies, I was like, here's 5 lines. Here's 200 lines. Right? It was, because the composition functions were so powerful, it took that many lines to do the equivalent, right? But I was just like, you could break it down here, but the language features itself force you to follow certain patterns.
Yeah.
Whereas here, you can abstract that away and just make it look like a function call, right?
When you get it right, it's very cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
see you fellas.
Have a good one. Thanks for coming. Wait, no, I'll have to look at that a little closer, because the thing you said about the transaction, I didn't know it, looked that up at runtime, like, it could see the call stack or whatever you were saying.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But yeah, I mean, like, when it first came out, there wasn't a lot of documentation, and so it's probably a good time to try and find some time to look at it again. But that's probably gonna be Thanksgiving. It's like, oh my God. But yeah, I'm like, you get used to looking at stuff like this, and it's just like, why can't I write clean, concise code like this in my other tools, right? Like, I love it, and I still remember the first time I saw that function. I was like, this is so awesome. I can define my functions only in the very scope where they're used, not inside my class, or not nested in a function, but like literally in the local variable context, right? It was like, and yeah, I could do it inside the function or the method inside, you know, a nested method. But it's like some OO languages don't let you nest methods. They have to be at the top level, right? So it's like, then you go, well, I'm creating all these private methods because I can't really put it in the one place I want it to be. But I was still remember the first time I saw that, and I was like, hold on, these methods here are only used in the rest of this code, and then they're gone. I was like, that's so awesome. But yeah, so you get used to, like, I remember when I first learned Perl, it was Perl 4, and it was like so awesome just not to have to string together regular shell scripts with sed and grep and awk. It was all in one language, and it was like that same kind of feeling. I was like, I don't have to switch out to write a little script for each little step. I can just stay in one script. It's like, but yeah, I'll have to read some more on what you were saying with the route thing. This here, I think, is one nice thing. I know Biddy, I think, is another one that did it, or Reddit, that does the routes and stuff as like data structures mostly. And that was one of the things I do remember thinking was pretty nice, because you just treat these, and you can you can see them all in one data structure that has symbols together, right? You could generate documentation from it, whatever, right? It wasn't like you were parsing code to gen docs, right? Like Swagger or some of those systems did. But yeah. But yeah, I've always used a ring, so it's like, I see this, yeah, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think this still runs up being the ring wrapper.
Yeah, underneath the cover, you think? Yeah, might be. I know this one, like, they keep updating it, like, I mean, it never really, there's been times where it's like I see in the news or up on the message boards and stuff, it's like, there's a new postal update, just like they do with the AWS library that they have, right? I'm like, okay, I'm glad they're keeping it up to date, because it's like, in the Clojure community, you hear people like, this library hasn't been updated in 3 years. It's like, well, it works and nothing's changed. I mean, data structures haven't changed, right? It's like, it's a linked list library. It's not like you need to do much. But it's like some of these kinds of libraries where it's like the servers that they're running on top of add features or whatever, HTTP 2, 3, whatever. It's nice to see them like get updated now and then. It's like, okay, good, it's still around. Like,
I think Cognitek was using this pretty heavily.
yeah, that's the first place I saw it, was when it was one of their blog posts back in the day. I mean, I don't remember when it came out, but it was a while ago. And that was where I first saw it, but at work we were using Ring, so I didn't really get to dive in. And at the time when I went home, I was like, my son was still young, so it was like no time there. But sometimes I'm like, I have to retire before I can code in my favorite language again. It's like, life gets in the way. But yeah, like, there's like a ton of data science stuff, like clojure, if it's been a while since you've gotten to that. Let's see if I can find it. This data wrap, that's what it is. This is one, like, totally been following this guy on Twitter. And, like, he has, like, this tool, you can drag these little grid things around, and as you write your data selection query that can flow through these, you can zoom into any one of them and see the Clojure code that's running. And manipulate it, right? He's got it tied into SQL database queries. You can take anything that's Clojure and expose it through a little node or whatever. And it's like really, really interesting. Like, this is just the tutorial, but it runs in your browser and stuff, but it's like, here's like the debugger where you can look at the vector here and see the data, and then here's a map, and like he's got all these little renderers for all the different things that he's doing in the system. Color pickers, Boolean pickers, sliders, right? And you can add your own to the system for whatever data you create, right? And like it's like this data science programming playground where you can wire this and then just write the code for the little widget here, but you can have other widgets and you just write the Clojure code in each little widget, right? And I just was like, man, that is so cool. It's like a little pluggable kind of data flow tool, but it supports querying SQL databases and stuff like that, and Visual Composer. I don't remember what that is, but I was like, this is definitely one to watch. And like, he posts all the time on Twitter too, and he's got little videos that show him doing stuff. and he explains it. It's like hosted out there, right? And he does the no-code view and the querying the SQL databases. This one here, this tutorial is all the image manipulation and reading movies out of like what is it, IMDb, I think it is, if I remember right. Or you get an export from IMDb, but I was like, that was kind of cool because he parses the data and you step through this, and then you can see the movie, you know, things, and he's got these controls, like you could see it, like if you have the actual video file for this, you can have the controls to play it and everything, you know, a little movie player. I just was like, this guy, he's building like his own little movie player closure components, basically. I just thought it was like so cool.
That's pretty cool. It is really cool.
It's like definitely like he's given a couple of talks at different conferences too. That like on YouTube as well, but like let's see, here's a flow. I'm trying to see. Yeah, here's this Twitter feed. Yeah. So that's the guy. But then there's like, these are the ones, like, and he'll talk about what he's doing. This is ChatGPT training, right? And let's see if I can zoom this up. There we go. So it's like separate list of states in the U.S. And then you got cities. Lays them all out here into a picker, right? And hides it. And this picker, and then feeds it into get ChatGPT data about Colorado in this case, but Arkansas now. And then he takes these and then puts them together in a little thing. It's like he's always doing these little demos basically and posting them on his feed. So there's like, here's another one. This was like a database one. And here's all the rows, and you can add different things for a column. You know, a cell can be anything, right? And then he pipes the data out to different views. Here's row count, bar chart of some stuff. And I'm just like looking at, and all these things are draggable. Like you can drag these things out in real time and stuff. And here's like, you know, a closure data structure. And you know, when he's displaying it over here, he's got some of the attributes, and, like the values here and the types and stuff. It's just like, holy crap, guy. That's amazing. Why is my job not that cool? It's like, we're reading some SQL rows and displaying them in a data table. But it's like, yeah, he's got chats, images, maps, text viewers, splitters, right? And here, like, you can see the little widgets laid out, right? It's like he's building up like different renderers that he feeds together and stuff. It's just like, wow.
More fun with closure form visualization. So I can hover over any subform and see what the value of that is. I can see here this, iterated 4 times, and those are the values. The same thing here, 4 values. Here's the input vector. I can also hover over here and see the same thing, and highlighting on the viz, the corresponding part. I can also modify the visualization a bit, change these from horizontal or vertical, depending on how complicated my function is. Maybe I want to move stuff around, organize it a little bit better. It kind of helps because you can't really put down hard and fast rules about what looks best. But I thought our code editors have code folding, right? So I can fold a big piece of code away and not have to see it. But what if we did the same thing except reduced our forms to values, right? So what I wanted to say, hey, this keyword X here, just show me the resulting value. And it's ran in 1, 2, 3, just show me the resulting value, and same thing here with this map. So now I have Iceman 22, and then Maverick, because we're in a different part of the step. But what if I went down here and said, okay, well, at the first step, they haven't been evaluated yet, so there's nothing. But then I get Goose 50, and then together Goose 50 when it hits that part of the execution, Maverick, Iceman, etc. And I kind of scrub through the list comprehension and see from the values what it was at that time, instead of seeing, the function itself and looking through it. I can actually kind of see where it was and where it's going.
It's like a timeline for the eval. It's like wild.
I remember fantasizing about something like that when I first read structured interpretation of computer programming.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, here's the drag and drop stuff with the data. Visualizations right over top of the data, drawing out one, right down. He was building his own dashboard on the fly, basically. It's like, so those are, like when you drag over it, those different parts are basically parts of a SQL query. One was aware, and it changes what it shows based on the context there too. Like, you change those rows like that. Wow. Tree maps. Yeah. It's definitely one of the, this one here looks to me like, it looks like a Star Trek,
Yeah.
right? The color scheme and stuff just reminded me of the computers on the Enterprise in one of the movies. I can't remember which one, but I was like, yeah, and here's this deal, data desktop, right? That's like a SQL thing or group order pivot filters to drag those things up.
feedback on the UFO board you requested earlier. Great, may I send it to your screen so we can go over it? Okay, I sent it over. Let me know that you can see it properly before we start. Excellent. I'm super excited you are enjoying it.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, it's like, I showed like a buddy of mine, and we were just like, when will we have something like that? And this guy's working on like to actually sell it as a product. So it's like, we'll eventually get to see it out in the wild. Like, I mean, his medical field and going on. Even shadows, right? I'm like, oh well. He's like, all that, he's done all the work to kind of really polish it. It's like, so you can kind of really get a feel for, I just thought it was like, all the other nice touches, I'm like, holy cow. Like, get this artifact ID and there's the text. Picture of the wolf's gonna take all the text and it's so cool.
So it's just something he's working on by himself.
That's what I gather. Yeah, it's all him. And it's, I've been following him for like a year and a quarter, year and a half on the Twitter stream, if I remember right. And it's just like, it just keeps improving, and like, he'll show his experiments up there, like when it was really in the beginning and stuff. And it was just really interesting to see, like, how much you can do now, right? I'm sure he's using some WebGL stuff in there, and because with the speed and everything, I'm not sure Canvas could do it, but I'm not like a browser expert at graphics, but it's like, I look at it and I'm like, it used to be, you would have to have a desktop app to do something like this, even close, right? And it's like, it's all Clojure from what I've been able to gather. Like Clojure scripts and regular Clojure, I'm like, holy crap. Not only is it like a tool, but it's like, you know, you could take that and expand it to the development like itself. Little widgets for the keywords or whatever, and connect things. And then, like here's something from a long time ago, 2000, Microsoft's SQL Server Enterprise Data Flow Guide, right? It's like, I remember when I saw it, he had posted that, I'm like, wow. I mean, that's like 20-some years ago. It's like an amazing inspiration kind of async flow. Last endpoint.
about 7 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
When I was in a voiceover piece that just fed data that somebody else got to me after the front end people, and then 3 or 4 people who process that data, and then one guy who did visualizations. And he was writing things that looked kind of along these lines.
Cool.
But he was hard coding all of them.
Okay.
And every time he decided he wanted to do something different, he had to take a month and figure out how to do
Figure
it.
out how to do it.
Yeah. And he hated when the data got big enough that he had to switch from Canvas to OpenGL.
Yeah.
It was like, I lose all these features.
Right. It's like you drop down to the super low level. Not even really any hit testing or anything. It's all what pixel are you at and what layer does it intersect this plane. Yes. But yeah, I mean, I just like look at this and now I can't. Because you got the animations in there and like, you gotta know he's using like D3 and other stuff. But it's just like, it's so fluid. Like, nothing seems to take very long. I don't know how big the data sets are and stuff, but it's like the UI is just so reactive, you know, it doesn't, you never really see it pause at all. It's like amazing. See little spinners at most, but the rest of the UI is like going down. I can't imagine trying to write that and just plain old JavaScript. Like, you probably get so much bang for the buck out of, you know, function composition and stuff. It's just like, that's a good. Yeah, there's a data rabbit. It's, like I said, I've been following it for a while, and it's just like, make sure and check them out every week or two and see what's the latest little demo he's put up there, right? It's like, okay. Yeah, I mean, this is going back to August 23rd. And it just goes for a while. I hear some earlier stuff. Do a TPS report. But yeah, like, I mean, rendering new threads and alligators. I mean, it's just like, you know, these little types. And I mean, like, we saw a minute ago, it's like, you can go to his website and do the little tutorials and stuff, and all run through your browser, and it's just like you can sit there and play with it. I enjoyed the first tutorial when I was watching the movie, and I thought that's so cool. But yeah. Basics. yeah, you can download it, use zip file and stuff. All those little settings, and I display keys right there. And like, all these little shortcut keys. They have been like working on it for a while, you can tell. Yeah, it's Chrome, so it might have a little purpose for it. But, yeah, definitely one of the, nicer kind of demos I've seen in a long time. But, yeah, like, I usually like go through these all the time. And like, look here as like a nice filtered version of the Slack channels. And it's always kind of nice to see just version bumps and stuff like this. This I love. The guy behind the beach guy. This is just closure script to ES6. So it trades off some of the, I guess, features of closure in terms of like where the JavaScript mutability and stuff. He doesn't guarantee that everything is a mutable data structure, so you can compile it down to straight ES6 JavaScript, right? And so it's kind of his trade-off. And then he's got another one that is doesn't make the trade-off. It still does all the closure, immutable data structures and everything that way. So you can have it both ways. So you can still use closure regardless of which JavaScript deployment story you have to fit into, kind of thing. And it's all written on top of the small closure interpreter. Yeah, Splint is the other one. But yeah, you can do like little templates, and here's how you do a div class. So you can use the class stuff from JavaScript, right? It's like, it just makes sense, right? It's like, dude, the Blishka, all these things, right? It's like doing some nice stuff. Web components. This one. These are some examples, but like I just thought that was like, that's nice. And then we've got tons of examples how to use Express, 3JS, some nice 3D stuff. And then you can see the source for all of it. So he includes these. And because he's using ES6, he can include these files without having to munch the function names. Now he doesn't use the closure advanced settings and stuff, so, but I mean running on V8 JIT, it's pretty good. But it's like pops these in, calls the class constructor there, and then does a do-to on it. I mean, like, and here you write in closure, and even with the JavaScript stuff, you don't see the JavaScript stuff that often. Like that's an anonymous function in closure script, right? So how much JavaScript stuff are you really seeing here? Not a ton. There's very little conversion that he's had to do. Yeah. And it's like, wow. Quick.js. Embeddable JavaScript engine. So it's like embed JavaScript. New closure script. Ink. Yeah. Little timer and then but yeah, this guy, I mean, he just creates a ton of stuff. It's weird, the French guy.
Hey y'all,
Yep.
sorry,
No, you're good.
gotta do the principal. How'd it turn out though?
Good.
Awesome,
Have a
awesome.
good meeting.
I'll, I didn't know when you wanted me to turn off the live stream, so I'll just turn it off right now.
Yeah, that works.
Awesome.
Not too bad. One, two. Cool.
Awesome, man.
It was good to see you again.
You too, I hope you come next month. Probably next month there'll be like an actual plan talk.
Awesome. Have a good one, guys.
You too, Ed. But yeah, I have like some vacation days coming up, and one of the days I'm planning on staying